The front door clicked shut behind me, and I stood there, keys dangling in my hand, replaying her words like a scratched record. Lauren had breezed past me 10 minutes ago, tossing her hair and saying, "I'm staying with someone else for a week, Ryan. You're too soft to stop me. Too soft." It hit like a punch I didn't see coming. We've been engaged for 8 months, living together in this little house outside Raleigh for 2 years. I thought we were solid. But there she was, suitcase in hand, smirking like she'd already won. I didn't yell, didn't beg. I just nodded, numb, and watched her taillights fade down the street. The house felt too quiet after that. I wandered into the living room, running my fingers over my shelf of vinyl records. Old jazz and rock I collected since I was a kid. It's not like I talk about them nonstop. They're just my thing, a way to unwind after long days designing logos for clients who never know what they want. But tonight, they didn't help. Her words kept spinning in my head. Too soft. Was I? I'd always been the guy who avoided fights, who let things slide. Maybe she was right. But then I saw her scarf on the couch, bright red, the one she wore every winter. She'd left it behind like it didn't matter. Like I didn't matter. My chest tightened, and I grabbed my phone. No texts, no explanation, just silence. I sat there, staring at the scarf, until a thought crept in. Where was she going? Who was this someone else? I told myself I didn't care, but my hands were already shaking. Therefore, I grabbed my car keys. I wasn't confronting her. Not yet. I just needed to know. 5 minutes later, I was tailing her silver Honda through the dim streets, my headlights off, wondering what kind of mess I was driving into. The city blurred past as I followed Lauren's car, keeping a block between us so she wouldn't spot me. I'm not a stalker, never been that guy, but something about her smug little wave as she left our driveway flipped a switch. I'd spent years building a life with her, sketching designs late into the night to pay our bills, while she flitted between yoga classes and brunches with friends. She always said I was a rock, but rocks get stepped on, don't they? Her Honda turned into a sketchy part of town, cracked sidewalks, flickering streetlights, and pulled up to a peeling apartment building. I parked across the street, slouched low, and watched her climb out. She didn't even glance around, just strutted up to the door like she owned the place. Then it opened, and there he was, Tom, her co-worker, the guy who'd lingered too long at our engagement party, all slick smiles and cheap cologne. My stomach twisted. She told me they were just friends, that I was paranoid for side-eyeing him. But there he was, pulling her into a hug that lasted way too long. Therefore, I wasn't imagining it anymore. Back home, I paced the living room, the hum of a Miles Davis record filling the silence. I'd always liked how vinyl crackled. It felt real, unpolished. Tonight, though, it couldn't drown out the noise in my head. I kept seeing them together, her laughing at me while I sat here like some chump. I poured a glass of bourbon, hands unsteady, and tried to think. She'd be gone a week. 7 days. I could wait, play the good fiancé, let her come back like nothing happened. But then I saw that scarf again, mocking me from the couch. No, I wasn't waiting. I grabbed my laptop and started digging. Her social media, our bank statements, anything I could find. That's when I found it. An old photo buried in her cloud backups. Her and Tom, arms around each other, time-stamped 3 years ago, before we even met. My glass hit the table hard. She'd lied from the start. The photo stared back at me from the screen. Lauren and Tom, grinning like they'd just won the lottery, standing on some beach I didn't recognize. 3 years ago. I'd been single then, freelancing in my cramped apartment, oblivious to her. She'd told me she moved to Raleigh for a fresh start after a bad breakup. But this wasn't a breakup. This was a history she'd buried. My bourbon sat untouched now, the ice melting into a puddle. I wanted to smash something, but instead, I kept scrolling emails, texts, anything. Nothing recent popped up. Maybe I was overreacting. But then I remembered her voice tonight. You're too soft. It wasn't just a jab, it was a dare. She thought I'd sit here, stewing, while she played house with Tom. I shut the laptop and grabbed my keys again. I needed air, perspective. I drove to the record store downtown, a hole-in-the-wall spot I'd been hitting since I was 19. The owner, Pete, nodded as I walked in. Rough night? He asked, eyeing my clenched jaw. I just shrugged and flipped through the bins, Coltrane, Zeppelin, trying to calm down. That's when Pete said it. Saw your girl the other day. She was with some dude, buying a bottle of wine across the street. My hand froze mid-flip. When? I asked, voice tight. Tuesday, he said. 2 days ago. She told me she was at a work thing. Another lie. Therefore, I thanked Pete, bought a random album, and drove home, my mind racing. She wasn't just testing the waters with Tom. She'd been swimming in them for who knows how long. Back in the living room, I dropped the needle on the new record, letting the static hiss fill the space. I stared at our joint bank account on my phone. $4, $200 sitting there, half mine, half hers. She'd always handled the big purchases, said I was too scatterbrained with money. But now I wondered, what else was she hiding? I logged in, started poking around, and saw it. A $300 withdrawal last week. No note. No explanation. My jaw tightened. Time to stop wondering and start doing. The bank app glowed in the dark, that $300 withdrawal glaring at me like a neon sign. Lauren had always been the responsible one with money. Ironic, considering she'd blown half our savings on a spa weekend last year, claiming it was self-care. I let it slide, too tired to argue. But this wasn't a massage. I scrolled back further, small cash pulls here and there, $50, $100, always vague. I trusted her, built a life with her. And now I was staring at proof she'd been siphoning us dry. My hand shook as I set the phone down, the record still spinning, some old blues track about betrayal. Fitting. I stood up, pacing, trying to piece it together. She'd been with Tom for years, maybe the whole time we were together. But why stay with me? The house was in my name. I'd inherited it from my grandpa, a quiet guy who taught me to value what's yours. Lauren had no claim to it. The money, though? That was ours. Or so I'd thought. I grabbed my laptop again, pulling up her online marketplace account. She loved selling her old clothes. That's when I saw it. Her favorite leather jacket, listed yesterday. $150. Sold. She was cashing out. But why now? I leaned back, staring at the ceiling, until it hit me. She wasn't just staying with Tom for a week. She was planning something bigger. Therefore, I decided to test it. I grabbed my phone, texted her, forgot your scarf. Want me to drop it off? No reply for 10 minutes. Then keep it. I'm good. Cold. Detached. Like I was already a memory. My gut churned, but my mind cleared. If she was cutting ties, I'd beat her to it. I started with her stuff, those designer shoes she bragged about, the fancy blender she never used. I snapped photos, posted them online. Moving sale, I wrote. Within an hour, a guy messaged about her necklace, the one she wore every day. Where'd it come from? He asked. I froze. It wasn't from me. I dug through her drawer, found the box. Inside, a note. To L, forever, Tom. The note fluttered to the floor, those 3 words, to L, forever, burning into me like a brand. I'd given Lauren a ring 8 months ago, a simple band I'd saved for, thinking it meant something. But this necklace? Gold, delicate, the kind of gift you don't just toss in a drawer. Tom had given it to her, and she'd worn it around me like it was nothing. My throat tightened as I stared at it, the room shrinking around me. The record player clicked off, leaving a heavy silence. I didn't cry, didn't yell. I just sat there, letting it sink in. She'd never been mine. But then my phone buzzed, a buyer for her shoes, $80. I smirked. She paid triple that. I confirmed the sale, then kept going, her dresses, her books, anything I could list. Context shifted. I remembered my grandpa's voice, gravelly and calm, saying, "You don't let folks walk over you, Ryan. You stand up quiet-like, but firm." I'd always thought quiet meant weak. Not anymore. Therefore, I grabbed a box, started packing her life into it. Every lie, every secret, piece by piece. Halfway through, I found a bank statement tucked in a book. Hers, not ours. $12,000 balance. My name wasn't on it. She'd been stashing money while I paid the bills. Conflict hit hard. She wasn't just cheating. She was bleeding me dry, waiting to bolt. I sat back, reeling, then laughed. A sharp, bitter sound. She thought I was soft? Fine. I'd show her soft. I called a buddy who flips houses, asked about moving companies. Need it fast, I said. He didn't ask why. By morning, Her stuff was gone, sold, donated, or boxed up. The house echoed now, just my records and a folding chair left. I spun an old Stones track, letting the guitar wail as I sipped coffee. My phone lit up. Lauren. Checking in. Her text read. Checking in? After 5 days with Tom? I typed back, all good here, and hit send. Let her think I was clueless. Let her walk back into this empty shell. I leaned back, the plan locking into place. She'd see soon enough. The house was a ghost town now. Bare walls, empty shelves, just a faint echo where Lauren's stuff used to be. I sat on a folding chair, scrolling through my phone as notifications pinged. Her blender sold for $40, her yoga mat for $15. It felt good, watching her world unravel one listing at a time. I'd always been the guy who fixed things, client deadlines, leaky faucets, her bad days. But now, I was dismantling. A record spun in the background, Dylan, gravelly and raw, its rhythm steadying me as I worked. But then a message popped up about the necklace. Hey, still available? Love the story behind it, the buyer wrote. Story? I'd listed it as vintage gold pendant, well loved. No details. My gut twisted. I called the guy, keeping my voice casual. What story? I asked. He laughed. The note, man. To L, forever. Sound like a keeper. I hung up, staring at the box. Tom's words, now public. Conflict surged. She'd worn that lie around me, and I'd been blind. Therefore, I dug deeper. I logged into our Wi-Fi history. Hers was still saved. Her search history popped up. Apartments near Tom's work, how to transfer joint accounts. She wasn't just testing him. She was planning an exit. My jaw clenched. I called my bank, voice steady, and moved half our joint money, $2 into my personal account. Emergency, I told the teller. She didn't question it. Lauren wouldn't notice yet. She never checked the app. That night, I poured a bourbon and stared at the empty living room. Grandpa's voice echoed again. Folks show you who they are, believe him. I'd ignored the signs, her late nights, her excuses. But not anymore. I grabbed my laptop, found a lawyer's number. If she was plotting, I'd be ready. My phone buzzed. Another sale, her winter coat. Gone. I smiled, cold and sharp. She'd left me no choice. 6 days down, 1 to go. When she walked back in, she'd find more than an empty house. She'd find a reckoning. The lawyer's office smelled like stale coffee and leather, a stark contrast to the vinyl-scented calm I'd clung to all week. I sat across from a guy named Greg, mid-40s, sharp suit, explaining everything. Lauren's week away, the necklace, the secret account. He leaned back, tapping a pen. You've got the house in your name, Ryan. She's got no legal claim. But that joint account? Tricky. I nodded, pulse steady. I moved my half, but she could still fight for hers. Greg smirked. Good news. She's got debt. Credit cards, car loan. You didn't co-sign, did you? I hadn't. Relief hit, but it was short-lived. Because then my phone rang. Lauren. I let it buzz, watching her name flash. Voicemail popped up. Ryan, what's with the account? I tried to pay for something, and it's short. Call me. Her tone was sharp, suspicious. She'd noticed. I'd hoped to keep her in the dark another day, but she was on to me. Therefore, I played dumb, texting back. Not sure. Bank glitch, maybe? I'll check. Let her stew. Greg raised an eyebrow. She's fishing. Don't give her anything. Back home, I drop a needle on a Billie Holiday record, slow, mournful, matching the gray sky outside. Context shifted. I'd always loved how music could say what I couldn't. Lauren used to tease me about it. Said I'd rather talk to records than people. Maybe she was right. But now, those records were my anchor while her life sank. I checked the bank again. Another withdrawal attempt from her blocked. She'd figure out soon. That's when I found the car paperwork in a drawer. Her SUV, financed in her name only. Payments overdue. I grinned, cold and quiet. She'd bragged about that car, said it made her feel free. But freedom's expensive. I called the lender, confirmed the balance. She's behind, they said. Repossessions pending. Perfect. I hung up, picturing her face when she realized. 1 day left. The house was empty, the money was split, and her car was a ticking clock. I leaned back, letting Billy's voice wash over me. She'd dare me to stop her. I was just getting started. Morning light crept through the blinds, hitting the bare hardwood where Lauren's rug used to sit. I sipped coffee, scrolling through buyer messages. Her last dress sold for $20. Petty cash, but every sale chipped away at her. The Billie Holiday record still spun, its melancholy vibe a quiet companion to my chaos. I'd slept maybe 3 hours, wired on adrenaline and coffee. 6 days of tearing her life apart, and it felt good. Not loud, not messy, just methodical like designing a logo pixel by pixel. But then my phone lit up, Tom. My stomach dropped. Hey, man. His voice oozed through the line, all fake concern. Lauren's freaking out about the account. You okay? Okay. He was calling me while she slept next to him. Probably. I forced a laugh. Yeah, just a mix-up. Tell her I'm sorting it. He paused, then chuckled. Cool, cool. See you around. Conflict spiked. He knew something, or he wouldn't have called. Therefore, I doubled down. I texted Greg. She's sniffing around. What now? He replied fast. Freeze her out. File for separation if she pushes. Separation. The word hit hard. I proposed to her on a whim last summer, thinking we'd last. But she'd been with Tom the whole time. I shook it off, called the bank again. Close the joint account, I said. Move my half to savings. Done. She'd get notice soon. Too late to stop it. Then I dug in her car loan. The lender confirmed. 2 missed payments, repossession scheduled tomorrow. Her last day with Tom. I pictured her strutting back, expecting her SUV in the driveway, only to find dust. But then I found something else, a receipt in her desk. $500 to a jeweler, dated last month. Not the necklace. Something new. My mind raced. She'd bought him something, using our money. Rage bubbled, but I channeled it. I listed her TV online, her last big item. Sold in an hour. The house was a shell now, just my chair, my records, my coffee. Tomorrow, she'd walk in. I spun a new track, Springsteen, rough and defiant. She dared me to fight. I wasn't fighting. I was winning. The clock ticked past midnight, and I sat in the dark, the Springsteen record fading into static. Tomorrow was day 7, Lauren's grand return. I'd spent the week stripping her out of my life, piece by piece, and the house felt lighter for it. My phone buzzed, her again. Bank says the account's closed. What's going on, Ryan? No panic in her tone, just irritation, like I'd inconvenienced her. I didn't reply. Let her wonder. I leaned back, sipping cold coffee, picturing her face when she saw the emptiness. But then I found the note. Tucked in an old sketchbook. Mine, not hers, it read. Ryan, you're too good for this. Leave her. My sister's handwriting, from a visit last year. I'd laughed it off then. Lauren had charmed everyone, even Amy. Context shifted. Amy had seen through her when I hadn't. I crumpled the note, guilt mixing with resolve. I wasn't just doing this for me now. Therefore, I grabbed a pen, wrote my own message. You were right. Too soft to leave you, until now. I left it on the counter, simple and final. Morning came fast. I heard the tow truck before I saw it. Her SUV hooked up and rolling away. The repo guy waved. I nodded back. She'd financed it herself, but I'd tipped them off about her new address at Tom's. Let her explain that. I swept the floors, wiped the counters, left the house spotless, except for that note and one record on the player, needle poised. Dylan again, don't think twice. Perfect. Then my phone rang. A friend, Dave. Dude, Lauren's asking around about you. Sound mad. Conflict loomed. She was closing in, maybe sensing the trap. What did she say? I asked. Something about you losing it, he said. Losing it? I smirked. I'd never been clearer. I thanked him, hung up, and grabbed my keys. Time to vanish. I loaded my records into my car. Everything I cared about fit in the trunk. She'd walk in soon, expecting me to beg. Instead, she'd find nothing. I drove off, the house shrinking in the rear view. She'd see what soft really meant. I was halfway to Durham, an hour from Raleigh, when I pictured it. Lauren stepping through the front door. She'd drop her suitcase, expecting her shoes by the mat, her TV on the wall. Instead, she'd get silence, broken only by that Dylan record spinning. It's all over now, baby blue. I'd spent the week making it happen, selling her clothes, donating her books, even burning old photos in the backyard pit. The flames had licked up fast, her smiling face curling into ash. I'd watched, calm, sipping bourbon as the past went up in smoke. Backtrack to day 4. I'd called a moving crew, buddies of Dave's, to clear the big stuff, her dresser, her couch. Ex-moving out? One asked. Something like that, I said. They didn't pry. Day 5, I hit the pawn shop with her jewelry. Everything but that necklace, which I'd mailed to the buyer with Tom's note intact. Day 6, I drained the joint account, paid off the lawyer, and tipped the repo guy. Every move quiet, deliberate, like laying tracks for a train she wouldn't see coming. Now, she'd walk into that empty shell. The note would catch her eye first, too soft, until now. She'd scoff, maybe call me pathetic. But then she'd notice the record, the bare walls, the missing car keys. Conflict would hit, her SUV gone. She'd run outside, see the empty driveway, and panic. She'd call the lender, learn about the missed payments, her mess, not mine. She'd dial Tom next, furious, only to realize he couldn't fix this. I made sure of it. I pulled into a gas station, the road humming beneath me. My phone stayed silent. No calls, no texts. She was probably still reeling, piecing it together. I grinned, imagining her flipping out in that hollow house. But then I remembered the receipt, $500 to a jeweler. What had she bought? A gift for Tom? A ring? My smile faded. If she planned to leave me for good, why come back at all? Something didn't add up. I turned up the radio, old rock, steadying me. I'd find out soon enough. I'd been in Durham 2 hours, crashing at a cheap motel with peeling wallpaper when I pictured Lauren's next move. She'd stand in that empty house, the Dylan record looping, her scream echoing off bare walls. Her car, repossessed that morning, wouldn't be waiting outside. She'd call the lender, get the bad news. $8,000 overdue, her credit trashed. I'd found the loan docs days ago, buried in her desk. Her signature, not mine. She'd financed that SUV to impress Tom, not me. I smirked, spinning a Scratch Stones record on the motel's ancient player, the needle skipping just enough to keep me grounded. But then my phone buzzed, a text from her. Where's my stuff, Ryan? This isn't funny. No panic yet, just venom. I didn't reply. Let her sweat. Conflict brewed. She'd check the bank next, see the closed account, my half gone. She'd call Tom, demand answers, but he'd be clueless. I'd made sure her mess stayed hers. Therefore, I leaned back, sipping a warm soda, replaying the week. Selling her things wasn't enough. I donated the profits, $1, $200, to a charity in Tom's name, fudging the tax form. He'd get a nice IRS letter soon. Back in Raleigh, she'd find the note again, too soft, until now. She'd tear through the house, looking for clues, but I'd left nothing, except one detail. The mailbox. I'd forwarded her bills to Tom's address. Every late notice and collection call rerouted. She'd blame me, but the paper trail was clean. Greg, the lawyer, had double-checked. You're untouchable, he'd said. I'd walked away free. House mine, money split, her debt her problem. The motel TV flickered, some late-night ad droning on. I stared at my phone, waiting. She'd figure it out soon. Her life wasn't just gone. It was weaponized against her. But then I remembered that jeweler receipt. $500. Recent. My gut twisted. What had she bought? A gift? A promise? I shook it off, turned up the stones. She'd lost everything. Car, cash, pride. I'd won. Or so I thought. The phone stayed silent. Too silent. She wasn't done yet. Durham's morning light was gray, filtering through the motel curtains as I packed my records into the car. I'd rented a small place nearby, a studio, cheap but mine. The past week had hollowed me out, but I felt sharper, like a blade honed by betrayal. Lauren's text still sat unanswered. Where's my stuff? I imagined her pacing that empty house, calling friends, spinning lies about me. She'd always been good at that, twisting stories to make me the bad guy. But this time, the evidence was gone. Sold. Burned. Repossessed. I stopped at a diner, ordered coffee, and checked my phone. Dave texted, "She's asking everyone about you. Says you snapped." Snapped? I laughed into my mug. If snapping meant dismantling her life while she played house with Tom, sure. But then Dave added, "She's got a photo. Showed it to me." You and some girl. My stomach dropped. A photo? I hadn't dated anyone since Lauren. Conflict loomed. She was digging, trying to flip this on me. Therefore, I called Dave. What photo? I asked. Old one, he said. Blurry. She's acting like it's proof you're no saint. I hung up, mind racing. Lauren didn't bluff. She manipulated. Back at the motel, I scrolled my own backups. Nothing incriminating. Then it hit me. Amy. My sister. We'd taken a selfie at a bar last year. Her arm around me, both of us grinning. Lauren had hated Amy, called her too nosy. Could she twist that? I smirked. Let her try. I texted Dave. Tell her it's my sister. See what she says. He replied fast. She's pissed. Keep saying you'll regret this. Regret? I'd regret nothing. The record player hummed as I unpacked. A rare Coltrane album, soothing but tense. I'd turned Lauren's dare into her downfall. Her car was gone. Her money tied up, Tom's tax mess brewing. But that photo nagged me. She wasn't just mad. She was plotting. I poured a coffee, stared out the window. She'd lost everything, but she'd never been one to quit. My victory felt solid, yet shaky. Something was coming. I could feel it in the air, heavy as the next track's opening note. The studio smelled like fresh paint and dust, a blank slate after Raleigh's chaos. I set up my records along one wall, Coltrane, Dylan, a few scratch jazz finds, my little piece of sanity. Work calls piled up. Clients didn't care about my personal implosion. I sketched a logo, lines clean and sharp, feeling more like myself than I had in years. Lauren's world was ash now. Her stuff sold, her car towed, her lies exposed. I'd walked away, stronger, proving her too soft jab wrong. Grandpa's voice echoed. Self-respect's quiet, but it cuts deep. He'd been right. But then my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered, cautious. Ryan. Lauren's voice, low and tight. You think you're clever? My pulse spiked. She'd found me. What do you want? I asked, keeping it flat. You took everything, she hissed. But I've got something too. Context shifted. She wasn't begging. She was threatening. That photo, she said. You and that girl. People will talk. I laughed cold. It's Amy. My sister. Try again. Silence. Then, you'll see. She hung up. Conflict churned. She had nothing left to lose, and that made her dangerous. I called Greg. She's got a photo. Says it's leverage. I told him. He snorted. She's bluffing. No assets, no case. Keep your head down. I trusted him, but doubt lingered. Lauren didn't fight fair. She twisted, schemed. I spun a record. Miles Davis, moody and slow, trying to shake it. Then I remembered her call with Tom, day 8. He'd sounded smug. Were they planning something? That $500 receipt, flashback. A ring? A bribe? I checked my accounts, clean. The house was still mine, locked tight. But her tone stuck with me. You'll see. She'd lost her car, her savings, her pride. Yet she sounded sure. I paced, the trumpet's wail matching my unease. She couldn't touch me legally, but reputation? Rumors? She'd always been good at poison. I stopped, stared at the phone. No voicemails, no texts. Just silence. Too much silence. I'd beaten her at her game, but the board wasn't clear. Something was brewing, and I wasn't ready. Not yet. Night settled over Durham, the studio's single window framing a sliver of moon. I sat cross-legged on the floor, a half-finished logo sketch beside me. Coltrane's sax weaving through the dark. Lauren's call replayed in my head. You'll see. It wasn't defeat in her voice. It was a promise. I'd strip her bare. Car gone. Money split. Tom tangled in a tax mess from my charity stunt. She should have been broken, but she wasn't. I rubbed my eyes, exhaustion creeping in. I'd won, hadn't I? Then the doorbell buzzed, sharp, insistent. I froze. No one knew I was here except Dave, and he'd call first. I opened the door, and there she was, Lauren, eyes blazing, holding a manila envelope. Miss me, she sneered, shoving it at me. I stepped back, pulse hammering. What's this? I asked. She smirked. Proof you're not so innocent. Conflict crashed in. She tracked me down, weapon in hand. I opened it. A photo, grainy, me with a woman at a bar. Amy. That's my sister, I said, voice steady. Nice try. Her smirk faltered, but she recovered fast. Sure it is. But this. She pulled out a receipt, $500, the jeweler. I bought Tom a watch. With your money. Joint account, Ryan. You think you're clean. Context twisted. She'd played me, siphoning cash right under my nose. But then I laughed. Account closed. Money's gone. You're too late. Her face darkened. I'll tell everyone you pushed me out. Left me with nothing. Poor, betrayed Lauren. She was good, spinning victimhood like a pro. I stepped closer, voice low. Go ahead. Tell them about Tom, the necklace, the lies. I've got receipts too. She flinched, but her eyes glinted. You'll regret this, she said, turning away. I shut the door, heart pounding. She'd lost the war, but she'd fight dirty to the end. I dropped the photo, spun the record louder. Amy's note flashed back. You're too good for this. I was. Lauren's threat hung heavy, but I'd outmaneuvered her. Or so I thought. My phone blinked, a voicemail, time-stamped an hour ago. Her number. I hesitated, finger hovering. What now? The voicemail icon pulsed on my screen, Lauren's number glowing like a warning. I stood in the dim studio, Coltrane's last notes fading, the air thick with tension. I'd beaten her. House mine, money safe, her life in ruins. She'd shown up with her photo and receipt, desperate to claw back control, but I'd shut her down. She'd stormed off, defeated. Or so I'd thought. My finger hovered over play, dread pooling in my gut. She'd lost everything. Why was she still fighting? I hit the button. Her voice crackled through, low and venomous. Ryan, you think you're done? You took my car, my stuff, screwed Tom over with that tax thing. Cute. But I've got friends, people who owe me. You're not safe. Watch your back. A pause, then a laugh, sharp, unhinged. Oh, and that watch. It's on Tom's wrist. Paid with your money. Sleep tight. Click. Conflict exploded. She wasn't broken. She was feral, cornered, striking out. Friends? What friends? I sank onto the floor, mind racing. Context shifted. Lauren had always networked. Brunches, yoga buddies, coworkers. People I'd never met, who'd only heard her side. She'd spin me as the villain, the guy who snapped and left her homeless. The watch stung, $500 of my cash flaunted on Tom's arm. But I'd closed the account. She couldn't prove it. Greg's words echoed. She's got no case. Legally, I was ironclad. But rumors? Threats? That was her game. I grabbed my keys, checked the locks. She didn't know Durham, didn't have my address, unless she'd followed me. I'd been careful, but her showing up proved she was resourceful. I spun a new record, Zeppelin, heavy and defiant, trying to steady myself. I'd transformed, shed the soft, Ryan she'd mocked. I'd won, but her voicemail lingered, a loose thread. Watch your back. Was a bluff? A real threat? I didn't know. The music thrummed as I stared out the window, city lights flickering. I'd burned her world down, walked away stronger. But she'd left a crack in mine. I exhaled, resolve hardening. Let her try. I'd be ready. Thank you for tuning into this story. We appreciate every single one of you. We'd love to know what part of the world you're watching from right now. Let us know in the comments.